Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. In today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some court cases that you may not be aware of because the news doesn't report on them. I think that I have a responsibility to inform my subscribers of what's going on out with these debt collection lawsuits, what's going on out there. Because if you have a level of awareness, you're going to be able to prepare yourself, number one, to avoid these types of situations. There's a lot of misinformation out there stating that if you don't do anything about a debt collection, that's a debt collector that is attempted to collect a debt against you, that it'll just go away. Well, what I want to do is I want to read you some information straight from the ACLU from actual cases so you can see that this stuff will not go away. And before we even get started, I want to let you know that if you find yourself in any situation where you are being sued by a debt collector or they are sending you the debt notices, the debt demand letters, that you do have options that are available to you and you can still fight. It's not about laying down and it's not about getting scared. It's about equipping yourself with the information so you're able to move forward the right way. Not with something where no one is going to stand behind it and they're going to give you information and they're not going to be there to coach you or to counsel you on if you're doing the right thing. And that's mainly because they never dealt with stuff like this before. The information that I'm going to share with you, we've dealt with clients at each level, all the way from getting a letter from a debt collector and how to respond to those letters appropriately, to either get the debt where they're going to cease all collection or a settlement. Clients getting sued by debt collectors in court, coaching them on what to do, what to say, and helping them with preparing their response to get actual victories or very good favorable settlements. Clients who have came to us who have gotten a judgment for whatever reason, either default or they attempted to do it themselves without all of the information and got a judgment against them, and we got the cases reopened, and cases have won from getting those cases reopened and a defense put in place to win their case. So we've dealt with it all the way across the board. So what I want to do is I want to read to make you aware of some stuff. We got in Nebraska, Mrs. W, which is stated here in the report, age 62, was arrested for failure to appear in court over an $1,800 debt to Heartland Construction for home repairs. Police came to her apartment at 5:30 a.m. on April 27, 2017 to arrest her on a warrant. The sheriff was doing a sweep of outstanding warrants for public housing tenants, and an outstanding warrant issued for her arrest 15 years earlier came up. The arrest warrant had been issued in June of 2002 for failing to appear at a debtor's exam. She lives in public housing, has no car, and her only income was from Social Security. The officers let her leave her apartment and walk outside before handcuffing her. She was transported to the jail where she was booked, fingerprinted, photographed for mugshot. Bond was set at 10% of the debt. She says she was incarcerated for almost 5 hours before her boyfriend bailed her out. Next, we have a credit card and other consumer debts. In Tennessee, Mr. B was tased 3 times and bitten by a dog when he was arrested October 2013 in connection with a credit card debt owed to Discover Bank. Mr. B received collection calls about the debt years earlier, but he says he reached an agreement with Discover and considered the matter resolved long ago. His wife later testified that she had opened the account and used the card without his knowledge and did not tell him about the civil action that was subsequently filed to collect the debt. A civil warrant was issued for his arrest after attempting to serve the warrant 22 times over about a month. A Knox County Sheriff deputy thought he saw Mr. B walking on the driveway of his mother's house where he had a workshop for his optical lens business. The deputy called in a captain, sergeant, 3 deputies, K9, and a helicopter as backup. And we're talking about over a credit card debt. The defendant's mother testified that 5 police cruisers were in her driveway, 3 additional cruisers were next door, and there were other unmarked cars parked in her backyard. The sergeant arrived and asked Mr. B's mother for permission to enter, but she refused even though they had no search warrant. She later testified that the captain said that if she had probable cause, she could go in and make an arrest for evasion of service, obstruction of justice. Several police officers entered the home and searched her entire house, not finding Mr. B. The officers set up a full perimeter around the house. Mr. B says that after the police deputies made threatening statements to his mother, he hid in the basement crawl space. He recalls the sergeant came down the stairs and said, "I'm going to tell you, you little shit." The deputies sent in the police dog. Mr. B says that the dog bit his feet and hands, latched onto his arm and dragged him 3 feet. The deputies tasered him 3 times in his leg, chest, and arm, leaving him unable to breathe. Photographs of the injury show 4 lacerations of his upper arm and 2 large laceration puncture wounds and other abrasions on his ankle. In response to the civil suit subscribers subsequently filed by Mr. B, the police claimed he refused to show his hands, and 2 other officers then used their tasers. He was convicted of a misdemeanor obstruction and preventing service of process and arrest, and sentenced to 6 months probation, 10 days in jail, but the appeals court vacated the convictions because the conduct amounted only to avoid civil process servicers. So there's other stories on here. There's other stories on here, and I'm going to be reading through them and making some other videos. The whole point of this is that the number one thing that we want to do, and I believe that you want to do this, you want to avoid any type of situation like this possibly occurring. I don't understand why police, when it's something like a civil matter, that they would ramp this up, even if the sheriff was, told, hey, you got to serve this warrant, put over a civil matter, put this on the doorstep, put it on the door handle, whatever. I mean, this is the stuff that I'm not understanding on why this has to be ramped up to these levels when this is just simple civil matters. I mean, we got corporations filing bankruptcy and not paying people their pensions, not paying people what's owed to them, total flat out bankruptcy, leaving companies and individuals holding the bag for millions and sometimes billions of dollars, and there are no warrants for arrest for those individuals. So I don't understand that, and I don't pretend to understand it. But what I do understand is that I want to help you, number one, understand of the types of things that are happening out in our communities. And then number 2, what we need to do, the steps we need to take to avoid these types of situations from happening. So I just showed you what could happen, even though with that gentleman's wife opening up the card, using it, and not letting her know that there was a civil issue with this account. If you just flip that over and just say that he knew about it and he avoided it. That is what people are telling people to do right here on this platform on YouTube and on TikTok, to just avoid it. You don't owe the debt, so just avoid it. That is not the proper way to do it. Listen to me. Please listen to me when I say this. If you receive a letter from a debt collector, you need to respond to that letter. That responding to that letter does not mean that you owe that debt. Does not mean that you're implying that you owe the debt. Responding to that debt collection letter, number one, stops them from being able to put that information on your credit reports. It stops them from being able to move forward, because if you don't say no, you are saying yes. That's the way that the law is written. You could even look at that with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. When they send out a letter demanding payment and you don't respond, the law is written that you're saying, yes, this is my debt. So all of those videos where people are telling you don't respond, they're wrong. They're flat out wrong. And I haven't went as hard at them as I am going now, but I am going harder now. And forgive my voice, still coming down from my cold that I had, because they're doing this to people. And I don't want to see this happen to anyone, to no one, subscriber or not. So what you have to do is, if you, number one, you respond to that letter. Number two, if you are getting sued in court, you respond to that court summons. Number three, if you've already got a default judgment or some sort of judgment, and they call you in for a debtor's examination, you go there and you let them know what you're going through. And then you can either resolve it with them, or you can reach out to us and we can, give you some information on how you can resolve it. But don't skip that debtor's examination. If there's one thing that's in common with everyone who has a warrant out for their arrest, and you can see that warrant for that arrest for the one case, that warrant was submitted in 2002, and it was in 2017 for that warrant for that arrest. And so you can see that stuff will sit there. That debtor's examination that you don't show up for will sit there. So you don't want to have no issues with that at all. So make the debtor's examination even if you can't pay. Because once you make that debtor's examination, if they required it, you're off the hook for them being able to say that you're in contempt. Because that's basically what they're doing. And for everyone who says, well, you're not being arrested over the debt, you're being arrested because you didn't go to the debtor's examination because of the debt. And I don't care if you're sitting in there because of the debtor's examination or you're sitting in there because of the debt that you owed. Where would you be sitting at? You're sitting in jail. You're being arrested. You're being taken out of your home over a debt, over a civil action. And we see these companies and stuff filing bankruptcy and all of this stuff, and none of them are being taken out. So this is when I started this company, over the years, I knew that it was something bigger. Like there was always going to be something that happens that make it bigger than just helping people get out of debt, helping people with their credit. I knew that there was going to be something bigger. And this is the something bigger. With the Supreme Court that we have right now, with the different rulings that the Supreme Court have made to help debt collectors, you better bet that you're going to have to educate yourself on what you have to do to navigate through dealing with these debt collectors, because they are in this to make money. And they're not in it to make a little bit of money. These debt collectors are buying billions of dollars worth of debt, and you better bet that each one of them are trying to get their profits into the billions of dollars. Each one of them, like it's a race. Banks provide credit, people who don't pay on credit, and they even showed with the credit card providers, they're making billions of dollars. So when people don't pay, they sell it off. Debt collectors sweeping up all the crumbs off the floor and trying to turn that money into billions of dollars. That's what they're doing. And when people get into business doing that and they're making investments, it is not a game. Don't be fooled by anybody. This stuff is not a game. And don't think that you're just going to wait stuff out. If you want to wait stuff out, you're making a decision not to move forward with your life over that period of time. And you can hide out whatever you want to do. But if you're not trying to hide out and you're trying to move forward in your life, then it's time to get moving on this stuff. It's time to get moving on this stuff. If you have debt collectors who are suing you in court, have debt collectors sending you debt collection letters, immediately go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com. In the live chat, put all of your information so we can contact you, upload a copy of the summons, upload a copy of the debt collection letter. We'll let you know how we can help you. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch video, What Makes Us Different. So you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. That's the way that we repair credit and help people increase their scores. It's a process. If you need your credit reports and scores so you can know what the hell is going on, go to www.your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters. They're absolutely free. I do ask for a donation on them. Links are below this video. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments. Like this video. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.